What's going on, y'all? Five Sports Hot Fives back at it, back with another video. And yes, I know I usually do sports topics on this channel, but I wanted to talk a little fantasy football, seeing as how the football season is about to begin, and I am a fantasy football freak, as many of you are probably as well, because fantasy football is huge. So I wanted to sort of share a couple tips and tricks I use to do well in my fantasy leagues. I finished second last year in one of my leagues, and then I think third. I've won a bunch of times as well, so I'd like to think I know what I'm doing. So here are 5 fantasy tips and tricks to help you win your fantasy football league. Also, just want to say this is mainly for PPR leagues and probably 10 to 14 team leagues. I've never done an 18 team league, and I've done it 8-1, but I really don't like that because you're loaded on every team. But anyways, number 1, go for a star quarterback, but only in the first round. What I mean by that is there's usually 3 quarterbacks that I target that I want to draft in the first round, and that's Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers. I know Tom Brady is missing from that class, but that's because his stats have fallen off a little bit. And until he picks that up, and until New England's offense improve, I usually stick with those 3 guys because look, they're guaranteed 30 points and they usually never get hurt. I know Aaron Rodgers was hurt last year with the collarbone, but that was more of an exception than the rule. Drew Brees always plays 16 games. Peyton Manning always plays 16 games. And now you've got that quarterback position locked up for 15 out of the 16 weeks. And then you can just have any guy pick up and play for that one bye week that they're off. So I usually like to solidify my quarterback position with one of those 3 QBs in the first round, but only in the first round. Number 2, don't go crazy for wide receivers unless it's probably Megatron and maybe AJ Green or a Brandon Marshall. But other than that, do not reach for a wide receiver because the league is stacked. Every team has like at least 2-3 good receivers that'll give you productions. There's no need to reach for a wide receiver. I'd much rather get a back or, like I said before, a great quarterback. But that being said, you need a good receiver, but you don't need to reach for a lot of them because you can probably find some receivers on the waiver wire even after the draft is done. So don't reach for a wide receiver unless it's one of those that I mentioned. Number 3, try to draft handcuff running backs because we all know running back position is the most dangerous in football, and while it is very prominent in fantasy, you'll probably most likely have your back get hurt, and so you always want to have insurance for your back. If another team drafts a stud running back like a Jamal Charles, get his handcuff right away because you want to always be ready and just stash him on your bench. You might have to waste a draft pick, but sometimes it's worth it because, like I said, a lot of backs get hurt. Last year, Doug Martin got hurt. One of my friends picked him second, so you never want to just have a top back get hurt and then be screwed for the rest of the year. So try and draft handcuff running backs. Number 4, stay away from injury-prone players. I hate when people, well, I like it when people do this, but I hate when people that I'm trying to help with don't listen to my advice and they always pick an injury-prone player that they think will finally stay healthy for 16 games. It usually never happens. I'm looking at you, Rob Gronkowski. I'm looking at you, Darren McFadden. I'm looking at you, Danny Amendola. These guys, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Nobody can. They just have a tendency to get hurt. Gronk's gone through like 8 surgeries. Darren McFadden plays like 4 games every year and then gets hurt. I would rather draft a lower ceiling player, but one that's going to be available for the full 16 games than take a chance on a Gronk or a McFadden. And please, I advise you to do the same. Injury-prone players are just not worth it. And finally, number 5, live on the waiver wire. Folks, you will never, actually, unless your team's stacked, you will never ever finish with the same roster completely that you drafted with at the end of the year, unless, like I said, your team is stacked or you're just bad at fantasy, because there's always injuries, there's always players getting demoted, promoted, playing well, getting hot, getting worse. So you want to be on the waiver wire ready to pounce on a team that lost a running back, a team that's making a switch at quarterback, a team that's sliding a wide receiver to number 1, 2. The waiver wire it's actually usually how people that win the league because majority of their roster gets picked up from the waiver wire and they plug him in at the right time at the right week, and they end up winning that week and they end up winning the season. So live on the waiver wire. Those are my tips for fantasy football for this year. Let me know what you guys think. If you like those tips, comment down below which one you guys like, and don't forget to subscribe.